Subscribe for daily revenge videos like this and comment down below where you're watching from. I'd love to hear from you. The plastic knife felt flimsy in my hand as I navigated the lukewarm potato salad. It was supposed to be a celebration. You're doing great, Bethany. Party for my sister-in-law. Bethany, such an unimaginative name, I always thought. She'd just landed a promotion at some mid-tier insurance firm, and my brother Mark was bursting with pride. Me, I was just trying to survive the forced cheer and the thinly veiled disdain that radiated from Bethany's side of the family. See, I'm Beth Ariana, the other sister-in-law. Black, young, and, according to the unspoken narrative, a bit of an anomaly in their meticulously curated world of beige walls and golf club memberships. The backyard was a predictable tableau of string lights, wilting hydrangeas, and forced smiles. Bethany, resplendent in a new, offensively pastel dress, was holding court near the barbecue, regaling a group of her colleagues with a story about a difficult client. I could hear snippets, unreasonable demands, didn't understand the policy. It was the usual. I busied myself with filling my plate, trying to avoid eye contact. That's when she spotted me. Her smile faltered just for a moment before snapping back into place, brighter and somehow more condescending. "Beth Ariana," she chirped, her voice carrying a little too loudly across the yard. "So glad you could make it. Always so supportive of Mark." I offered a polite smile, a practiced maneuver honed over years of navigating these awkward family gatherings. "Wouldn't miss it, Bethany. Congratulations on the promotion." She waved a hand dismissively. "Oh, it's nothing really. Just a step up the ladder, you know. Hard work and dedication. Something you should try sometime, Beth Ariana." Her eyes flickered over my simple dress, the one I'd chosen specifically to blend in, to not draw attention to myself. It didn't work, of course. I was always going to stand out. The comment stung, but I refused to let it show. I'd learned a long time ago that any reaction, any flicker of anger or hurt, was just fuel for their fire. "I'm working on things, Bethany. You know how it is." I kept my voice light, almost breezy. That's when it happened. Her friend, a woman with a helmet of blonde hair and an unsettlingly tight smile, piped up. "Oh, is that right? What exactly do you do, Beth Ariana? Besides, clinging to successful people." The air crackled with a sudden, uncomfortable silence. I could feel Mark's eyes on me, a mixture of concern and embarrassment. Bethany didn't say anything, but her smirk said it all. This was her moment, her chance to put me in my place, to remind me that I was an outsider, a charity case, someone who was only tolerated because I was married to her brother. My smile remained plastered on my face, but inside something shifted. The years of passive acceptance, of biting my tongue and swallowing my pride, finally reached a breaking point. I looked directly at Bethany, her smug expression, and said, "Actually, Bethany, I think you know exactly what I do." And then I walked away, leaving her and her cronies to choke on the implications of my words. I knew at that moment revenge wasn't a dish best served cold. It was a slow burn, a meticulously crafted game of chess where I already knew the winning move. The drive home was a blur of simmering rage and burgeoning excitement. I replayed the scene in my head, analyzing every word, every nuance. Clinging to successful people, the gall of it. Did they honestly believe I was just some gold digger, leeching off Mark's meager salary as a middle school history teacher? Little did they know, Mark was thinking of taking a sabbatical because I was capable of footing the bills. The pity was sweet, though, the kind where people feel sorry for you when you need none. I pulled into the driveway of our modest but comfortable home. It wasn't a mansion, but it was ours, paid for with my money. Money I earned through years of relentless hard work, late nights, and a sheer force of will that Bethany and her ilk couldn't even comprehend. I walked inside, kicked off my shoes, and headed straight for my office. It was my sanctuary, a space filled with books, research papers, and the faint scent of expensive leather. I sank into my ergonomic chair, the one that cost more than Bethany's entire wardrobe, and opened my laptop. The screen flickered to life, displaying the logo of Ariana Consulting, my company. A company I had built from the ground up, starting with nothing but a laptop and a burning desire to prove everyone wrong. A company that now consulted for some of the biggest corporations in the country, including, ironically, Bethany's new employer, Sterling Insurance. I navigated to the client list, a satisfied smile creeping across my face. There it was in black and white. Sterling Insurance, Project Phoenix, a multi-million-dollar contract to overhaul their outdated HR systems and streamline their diversity and inclusion initiatives. A project that I, Beth Ariana, was personally overseeing. The irony was so thick I could taste it. Bethany, in her ignorance, had no idea that her own career advancement, her own paycheck, was indirectly dependent on my work. She saw me as a charity case, a hanger-on, while I was quietly shaping the very landscape she was trying to navigate. That night, sleep eluded me. My mind raced with possibilities, with ways to subtly, deliciously reveal the truth. I could march into her office and announce myself as the head consultant. I could send her an anonymous email with a link to my company website. Or I could do something far more subtle, far more impactful. I decided on the latter. Patience, I reminded myself, was a virtue. And revenge, as they say, is a dish best served cold with a side of sweet, sweet irony. I had a plan, a meticulously crafted strategy that would not only expose Bethany's ignorance, but also leave her questioning everything she thought she knew about me and herself. The thought was more than enough to lull me into a fitful sleep, dreams filled with pastel dresses and the satisfying click of a well-played game. The following weeks were a masterclass in strategic maneuvering. I threw myself into Project Phoenix, immersing myself in the intricacies of Sterling Insurance's HR infrastructure. I attended meetings, reviewed data, and interviewed employees, all while keeping a close eye on Bethany's movements. She remained blissfully unaware, still treating me with that same patronizing politeness whenever we crossed paths at family gatherings. "How's the job hunt going, Beth Ariana?" she'd ask, her eyes sparkling with faux concern. "Anything promising on the horizon?" I'd simply smile and offer a vague response, enjoying the delicious secret I was harboring. The power of knowing, of controlling the narrative, was intoxicating. I found myself relishing the small moments, the subtle jabs, the knowing glances that passed between Mark and me. He was my co-conspirator, my confidant, the only one who truly understood the depth of my amusement. As Project Phoenix progressed, I began to subtly implement changes that would directly benefit Bethany. I pushed for increased transparency in the promotion process, ensuring that merit, not just connections, played a significant role in advancement. I championed initiatives that supported women in leadership, creating opportunities for her to shine. It was a calculated risk, a gamble that required unwavering control. My goal wasn't to sabotage Bethany's career, but rather to expose her hypocrisy, to show her that the very things she mocked, my ambition, my drive, my determination, were the same qualities that were now benefiting her. I knew the reveal had to be perfect, timed with precision. It couldn't be a grand, dramatic gesture. It had to be a slow, creeping realization that dawned on her gradually, until the full weight of her ignorance crashed down upon her. The opportunity presented itself during a company-wide town hall meeting. I had been invited to present the initial findings of Project Phoenix, outlining the key areas for improvement and the proposed solutions. Bethany was in the audience, sitting near the back, her expression a mixture of boredom and mild curiosity. As I stood on the stage, bathed in the bright lights, I felt a surge of confidence. I was in my element, commanding the room with my knowledge and expertise. I spoke passionately about the importance of diversity and inclusion, about creating a workplace where everyone felt valued and respected. And then I dropped the bomb. As part of Project Phoenix, I announced, my voice ringing clear and true, we will be implementing a new performance-based bonus system designed to reward employees who demonstrate exceptional contributions to the company. I paused, letting the words sink in. I knew Bethany was listening intently now. Her eyes narrowed with interest. Furthermore, I continued, we will be conducting a comprehensive review of all employee salaries, ensuring that they are commensurate with their skills and experience. A collective murmur rippled through the audience. I could see Bethany's face paling slightly. She knew, instinctively, that something was about to change. The murmur in the room intensified as I continued my presentation, outlining the specifics of the new bonus system and the salary review process. I deliberately avoided making eye contact with Bethany, preferring to let the information wash over her indirectly, like a slow-acting poison. After the town hall meeting, I was inundated with questions from employees, eager to learn more about the changes. I patiently addressed each inquiry, providing clear and concise answers. Bethany, however, remained conspicuously absent. I knew she was reeling, trying to process the implications of what she had heard. The performance-based bonus system, in particular, would be a game-changer for her. She was a hard worker, no doubt, but her success had always been predicated on her connections and her ability to navigate the office politics. Now, she would have to prove her worth based on her actual performance. The following days were filled with a palpable sense of anticipation. Employees buzzed with excitement, eager to see how the changes would unfold. I received countless emails and messages, thanking me for my work and expressing hope for a brighter future at Sterling Insurance. Bethany, however, remained silent. She avoided me at family gatherings, offering only curt nods and fleeting glances. I could sense her unease, her growing realization that the world she knew was shifting beneath her feet. The climax of my plan arrived with the distribution of the new paychecks. I had personally overseen the implementation of the salary review, ensuring that each employee was compensated fairly based on their skills, experience, and contributions to the company. I knew Bethany's paycheck would be significantly higher than before, a direct result of my efforts. The irony was almost too delicious to bear. She had mocked me, belittled me, and underestimated me, all while unknowingly benefiting from my work. The day the paychecks were distributed, I received a text message from Mark. She knows. My heart skipped a beat. I immediately called him. What happened? She saw your name on the check, he said, his voice laced with amusement. Under consulting services. She put two and two together. And I pressed, eager to hear the details. She's furious, Mark chuckled. Absolutely livid. She stormed into my office, ranting about how you're trying to humiliate her, how you're deliberately flaunting your success. And what did you say? I asked, holding my breath. I just smiled, he replied, and told her to be grateful. The confrontation, as Mark recounted it, was everything I had hoped for and more. Bethany, fueled by a potent cocktail of humiliation and rage, had confronted him, accusing me of deliberately orchestrating the entire situation to embarrass her. She said you were trying to make her look like a fool, Mark explained, his voice still filled with amusement, that you were deliberately flaunting your wealth and power to make her feel inferior. I couldn't help but smile. And what did you say to that? I told her that she was the one who had made herself look like a fool, Mark replied, that she had judged you based on her own prejudices and assumptions, and that perhaps this was a much-needed lesson in humility. He paused, then added, I also told her that she should be grateful to you, that without your work on Project Phoenix, she wouldn't have gotten that raise. The silence on the other end of the line spoke volumes. I could only imagine Bethany's reaction to that particular revelation. So where does that leave things? I asked, finally breaking the silence. She's processing, Mark said cautiously. She's still angry, but I think she's starting to realize that she was wrong about you, that she underestimated you. That's all I ever wanted, I said softly, for her to see me for who I am, not who she thought I was. The following days were a period of uneasy truce. Bethany avoided me, but I could sense her watching me, studying me, trying to reconcile the image she had created in her mind with the reality of who I was. Then, one evening, I received a text message from an unknown number. It simply read, "Can we talk?" I knew immediately who it was. I hesitated for a moment, then replied, "When and where?" We met at a small coffee shop, a neutral ground far removed from the familiar territory of family gatherings. Bethany arrived first, looking uncomfortable and subdued. She was dressed in simple jeans and a t-shirt, a far cry from the pastel dresses she usually favored. I sat down opposite her, my heart pounding slightly. This was it, the moment of truth. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Of course," I replied, trying to keep my tone neutral. An awkward silence hung in the air. Bethany fidgeted with her hands, avoiding eye contact. I wanted to apologize," she finally said, her voice cracking slightly, "for the way I've treated you, for the things I've said." I waited, letting her gather her thoughts. "I was wrong about you, Beth Ariana," she continued, her eyes finally meeting mine. "I judged you based on my own prejudices and insecurities. I was jealous of your success, and I tried to tear you down to make myself feel better." The sincerity in her voice was unmistakable. I could see the genuine regret in her eyes. "I understand," I said softly. "It's okay." "No, it's not okay," she insisted. "I was awful to you, and I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I hope that one day you can find it in your heart to forgive me." The apology hung in the air, a fragile truce in a long-standing war. I looked at Bethany, truly looked at her, and saw not the smug, condescending woman I had grown to resent, but a flawed, insecure person struggling to come to terms with her own shortcomings. "I forgive you, Bethany," I said, my voice filled with genuine sincerity. "I forgave you a long time ago." A look of relief washed over her face. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much." We talked for hours that evening, peeling back the layers of misunderstanding and resentment that had built up between us over the years. I learned about her insecurities, her fears, her struggles to live up to the expectations of her family and her peers. She learned about my struggles, my determination, my unwavering commitment to proving myself in a world that often tried to hold me back. By the end of the evening, a tentative bond had formed between us. It wasn't friendship, not yet, but it was a start, a foundation upon which we could potentially build a more genuine and respectful relationship. In the weeks that followed, Bethany made a conscious effort to change her behavior. She stopped making snide remarks, she started asking me about my work, and she even began to defend me against the casual racism of some of her friends and family members. It wasn't a complete transformation, but it was progress, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of hope for the future. The ultimate validation came a few months later, when Sterling Insurance announced its annual employee awards. To my surprise, Bethany was nominated for the Diversity and Inclusion Champion Award, recognizing her efforts to promote a more inclusive and equitable workplace. She won, of course, and in her acceptance speech, she publicly thanked me for inspiring her to change her perspective. "I used to be blind to the challenges faced by people from different backgrounds," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "But thanks to Beth Ariana, I've opened my eyes to the importance of diversity and inclusion, and I'm committed to doing everything I can to create a workplace where everyone feels valued and respected." As I watched her from the audience, a wave of satisfaction washed over me. My revenge wasn't about humiliating Bethany or tearing her down. It was about forcing her to confront her own prejudices and to grow as a person. And in the end, that was the most satisfying revenge of all. I hadn't just changed her perception of me, I'd changed her perception of the world. And that, I realized, was a victory worth celebrating. The signature on the check had not just paid for services rendered, it had signed off on a new chapter in our lives, a chapter where understanding and respect finally took center stage. And it was a chapter one was finally ready to read.